Thanos killed half the galaxy and then destroyed the stones. The Hulk brought everything back, and Tony kind of just killed Thanos and his army. I'm not saying it wasn't important, but if we're talking about just the sheer, size of what he did, I think Tony was on the
First of all,
and
it's not all about size.
And he died. What a weakling. Thanks for bringing us back, Hulk.
You're so unappreciative.
Where did we go?
Shut up.
I don't know.
It was just like a black void. I think Ava Green was there.
Right.
I feel that way, the black void, anytime Nate's not around.
Okay. So I'm just gonna talk about this and get it out of the way.
Wait, what are we talking about?
Wait for it. I played a lot of the new expansion for Final Fantasy XIV.
Okay.
It's called Shadowbringers. It came out 2 weeks ago.
Welcome to Nailed It, by the way.
Welcome to Nailed It.
My name is David. Or Dave. No, Dave. Dave. I'm going to go with Dave.
Davey Boy Jr.
Yeah.
Xavier. This is Caleb.
Huh? They used to call me Casey in middle school.
Why?
It's my initials, K and C.
Okay.
Because I went to a Christian school, so,
I'm sorry.
there's a lot of Calebs because it's a biblical name.
Right.
Is there a lot of Calebs in Christian schools?
Yeah, because, Caleb was Joshua's best friend or something like that, and he was the first rock.
He was his homie.
He was his homie. He came back with a whole tree when they went to Palestine. No, it was Canaan at the time. Anyways, go ahead.
Shadowbringers is good. I'm just gonna move on. If you like MMOs, just play Shadowbringers.
They talk about
That's all you're going to talk about it?
Yeah, because every time I speak, you two somehow find yourself in this fucking black hole of a tangent.
They talk about Shadowbringers in the Book of Revelation.
Do they now?
Yeah. And lo, Shadowbringers will come, and Xavier will be entertained.
Are you telling me I'm in the Bible?
Yeah.
Well, actually, yeah.
You were in the Book of Revelations.
Yeah.
Specifically me?
Yeah, you're the beast.
You're the
Am I?
Yeah.
I mean,
you're the beast with two backs.
That's what they call me, but that's not what I am.
That's exactly what he would say.
Oh my god.
Which is great. I agree with that.
No, Shadowbringers brought a lot of quality of life improvements to the game that changes it from its previous iterations. The only thing that they did was
It's arm hair.
The only thing that they did was that they changed the healer class between the three so much that it has kind of messed with the community a lot.
In a good way or a bad way?
It depends on what you play.
So you split the community?
Kind of.
Let's say I play Astrologian.
You are mad, or you're on that middle ground. Simply because what they did from Stormblood and Heaven's Ward to this is that they changed how the cards operate. So, for people that don't know, the Astrologian or Astrologian, however you want to pronounce it, is a healer class that has the ability to draw cards that apply buffs to certain classes.
Like Yu-Gi-Oh!
Like Yu-Gi-Oh! Time to Duel jokes were all over the place. So
you feel the heart of the card?
Yeah, it's essentially what it is.
So I never understood this. So he's like, I feel the heart of the card, but you're just literally drawing the next card.
It's children's.
He can will what he wants, basically.
But
Deus Ex Machina.
But I've also had the thought of I'm on my way to work and I had a terrible job and I'm like, oh, please let there be not as much stuff there as I know there's going to be there, even though I know it's not going to change anything. That's about the same as having the heart of a card.
I'm interrupting something.
I'm entirely convinced that Yugi loads his deck.
Of course he does.
It shows him shuffling it, but I think he knows. There's probably some texture on the side of the card, so he knows what order the cards are going to be in.
That makes sense. He would probably preload things just so at the very end he would win because he knows exactly. I know exactly that this is my blue eyes.
He doesn't have the blue eyes. That's Kaiba.
Oh, that's right. But anyways, Kaiba has the blue eyes.
Yugi frequently breaks the rules.
Okay,
he does all the time.
I use my trap on the ground underneath Xavier.
I'm gonna smack you both. You're being rude.
Whoa.
Yes. So the Astrologian has the ability to draw
cards. Are we going to talk about Xavier's language lately? It's been really bad.
Oh, Lord.
We'll do it later. He's getting flustered. Let's let him finish.
Yeah, because it's about to I've been calm with my cussing.
I feel
as
like
of recent, and it's about to fly off the handle.
He
feel
has
like
a steel chair. Let's
he's
not
like-
turn this into
that's true.
WWE here.
No, AEW, that's even worse.
Yeah, oh god.
Anyways, the Astro has the ability to draw cards that apply buffs. In Stormblood and Heavensward, it drew 6 specific cards that applied different abilities to people depending on class that you would apply it on.
Mhm.
For instance, there was one called Bull. It was a symbol of a tree. It had the ability to apply a defense buff. You would generally give that to the tank because he's going to take the most damage. Then you had offensive cards between Arrow and I want to say the Spear. One would go towards like magical DPS. One would go towards physical DPS. Then you had 2 that applied like technical points, and 1 that applied magic regeneration. But because they took out the technical points now, it does not matter. And magic regeneration also kind of does not matter because everybody is now capped at 10,000 HP at level 80. And then there was one called Balance. Balance was what it gave everybody like a overall boost and stuff like that. And depending on how you lay your cards, you can either give a full party boost, extend one for a little bit longer.
So these are actual cards?
They're cards in the game that your character draws. It's part of its mechanics.
I just love the idea of thinking of a guy in a game that's just basically handing out coupon cards.
It's essentially what it is.
Okay.
He's like,
And
here
it's
you go.
It's
This is-
100% based off of RNG. You know.
Oh,
But
so you don't get to pick what
you
cards
don't
you
get
have?
to pick. It comes up. That's what
Ooh.
you draw. So that's how that operated, but it was fun. It made the mechanic interesting because it's like, all right, cool, I got this card. Let's hold off on this. All right, cool, I draw this card. It gives me the ability to spread it to everybody in the party within a certain proximity. Let's spend that, give it the buff, draw another card. Okay, cool, we're going to spend this. We're going to hold on to this. We're going to give it to this person, and we're going to keep going. While you're doing that, you're also healing and applying shields with that class. It's really fun. It's a good mechanic, interesting. Now, with Stormblood being dropped, it's like, all right, cool. You have these 3 cards. Those go to physical DPS. You got these 3 cards. These go to magical DPS. That's it. They simplified it. Yeah. So some Astros are like, all right, okay,
They streamlined the character, which made him kind of
boring.
Less fun.
Right.
Yeah.
boring.
Right. So and they did that with with most of the classes in the game.
Did they do that because people were confused on how to use it,
They-
or
The way that Shadowbringers has been kind of presented is that it's supposed to be like a restart point to the series
right?
for new people that have gotten this far that want to jump in now.
Okay.
Okay, so and keep trying to get him. It's like it's a slow push.
I'm still in the tutorial.
By the
area.
way, I found out that your account's free up to level 35
For
Okay.
for
Good,
Final Fantasy 14.
good thing I didn't put my card info on there
Yeah.
yet.
so Final Fantasy, I don't think I would ever make it past the tutorial for the game
For the
pretty
online
long.
one.
for any of them.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, so that's like one change versus the White Mage, which for some magical reason is out DP. A healer is out DPSing the DPS.
So what's the White Mage's gimmick?
The White Mage has a special gauge called like the Lily Gauge. As it progresses, as you get higher up in levels, it fills up and it allows you to cure faster, do instant cures, and it kind of like protects and helps you regen in mana. Now, the White Mage has this ability called Holy. It's one of its DPS. It's a powerful magical light attack that does whatever. All over the forums, as of recent since Shadowbringer drop, you're finding that that White Mages are putting out more damage than the characters that are supposed to be doing the damage.
Oh.
And it's like people aren't understanding how that's happening. It's just either the DPS aren't doing their job properly, or the White Mage is doing their job and has been busted so hard that they can't be stopped.
You heard it here first. DPS, you're not bringing your best.
Yeah, because and it's interesting because now that
Step up your game.
because
Step it up.
Another thing that they did is that they changed the Scholar, which is the 3rd healing class.
Okay.
And with that, the Scholar before had 2 different fairies. It kind of worked better as a DPS because it applied damage over time spells and stuff like that you had to keep up. And it had a fairy that applied shields and a fairy that applied buffs, or that applied health. Okay, so you most often, depending on who you're partnered with in raids, you would either put one or the other. Most when you're doing a 4-man dungeon, you're putting the heal one so that you can max your DPS out. Well, now both those fairies are the same, and they're still both there, so it doesn't matter. They've kind of taken the fun away of applying shields, or I think they apply shields more, but all you're doing is healing for the most part. And out of the 3 healers, the white mage has the best heal potency and capacity versus the other 2. Because throughout my journeys in that game, because I played a tank class and then I did my DPS class, the white mages had no issue keeping me alive. It was the Astro and the Scholar that was struggling the hardest and letting the tanks die or letting other people die.
Yeah, but is that because of whoever's playing that character, or
it's a combination. It's like a machine. Everybody has to do their part for it to function properly.
Right.
Now, if the tank is doing and fighting the big boss, right, and he's not applying the proper cooldown buffs so that he's not taking as much damage at the right time, and he's just taking all the hits brunt to the face and he's not staying alive, then that's the tank's fault.
Right.
But if the tank is doing his part, but the healer can't keep up and heal because they're either focusing on DPS, or they're focusing on somebody that isn't the tank so that the DPS can do their job, that's the healer's part. But when the healer can't heal to its max potency, then it's like a job error.
Yeah, but so technically it's your fault as the tank, right?
No.
Because, you're watching your health, right?
Of course. But not all tank classes have the ability to heal themselves. So what do you do
I know,
that?
but you have to hit and then run away, and then
that's not what the tank does.
No, the tank.
I know the tank needs to, but strategically you have to.
But it doesn't
keep your
matter.
character alive.
Yeah, but the thing is the healer's job is to heal.
Right.
And if the tank's job is to make sure that this boss or these enemies do not focus on anybody else that can't take multiple enemies at once. That's their job.
Right. So you just have to strategize better.
Exactly, but if the healer can't keep up with what the enemy is dishing out towards the characters,
right?
Then it's.
I just means that you have to strategize better.
Right. Sometimes it doesn't work like that. Sometimes
but
the class
always
is bad.
Works like
no,
that.
It doesn't. No, because here's an example. So there was a class that was brought up in Heaven's Ward by the name of Machinist. It was a class that was it toted a gun, it summoned a little turret and stuff like that, and it was meant to be a long-range DPS, similar to akin to an archer.
Right.
Okay. So it was fine in 3.0 or 2.0. 2.0? Yeah, 2.0, which was Heaven's Ward. Wait, was it? No, 3.0. 3.0 was Heaven's Ward. It was fine. It was just out. It did its job. It worked. Right. Then in Heaven's Ward or in Stormblood, when it dropped, it was legitimately known as the worst class.
Right.
Because it couldn't output DPS properly. Its cooldown engage meters were terrible.
Right. No, I get the idea. It's just you have to change strategy. That's the only thing. It's like in Halo, when they originally came out with Halo and they had the pistol that I could kill somebody from across the entire cannon.
Right.
And it's just 3 shots, pop, pop. Better than the sniper rifle.
Right. But
then the next one, they made it useless.
Yep.
It was the most useless, so you just don't use the pistol. Okay. You change your strategy, you go with dual machine guns or something like that.
But how would you do that in an MMO? Or can you help him with this? I mean, how would you
in an MMO, you have to just not use that character in that way, or you have to change your strategy.
But with your
I understand when mechanics are broken and it's very frustrating, but it just means you have to play the game differently.
Right, but then that means that you have to. So let's say you've been playing this one job, right? This one specific class from jump all the way to where we are now.
Right.
Okay. And for you to say, hey, go ahead and just change your shit. That means that I have to start all the way at level 1.
I get it.
Get there.
I get it. It's frustrating, but I'm just saying, either they fix it, or you have to change your strategy.
I think a similar example is kind of.
And I understand you hate it because
it's not a class I played. Honestly,
but to me, it's like, okay, so I've been going through my entire life working at this one job, and then all of a sudden this job is useless now. So I have to go find another job in a different career.
Right.
That happens. So
I
just figure it out. Not in a dickish way, but that's just the way life happens.
And I understand, but it's just...
I don't know why they screw with things like that, and they
tweak and they seem for it to be better, because I was trying to play the Astro right before Shadowbringers launched, right? When I heard about how they're doing a bunch of the changes, it turned me off to the class, because like, okay, cool, there's not very much complexity to this. It's not fun anymore.
Right.
It's just they wanted that the healers focus on healing, which is not a bad thing. That's fine. They didn't want them to focus as much on DPS. Like, here, we need you guys to heal. But then while they're doing that, they're not introducing us to a new class that may be possible to help. Whereas with the tank, they're like, all right, tanks are stronger, but they're also very squishy.
Right.
You want to make sure that you keep your shit up and that you don't die.
Right.
But we're also going to push this. We're pushing this specific one for story content in terms of the Dark Knight, because the Dark Knight is like, okay, cool. We want you to be the Warrior of Darkness. That's cool. It's thematic. I'm fine with that. That's cool. Do your thing. But we're also going to push this gun sword dude at you. He's really cool. He dishes out a lot of DPS. All right, tank with this. I can do that. But when you're telling me that I need to heal, and what you're doing is that you're tearing down two classes and building up one to a higher echelon to where it makes these two harder to use and harder to keep up with this one specifically.
Right.
It causes a shift in dynamic.
Yeah.
And
no, it's definitely frustrating. You know what I hate the most? I play sniper in most games.
Mm-hmm.
I hate it when I play a game when I try out the sniper and I have to shoot a guy 4 or 5 times in the head to kill them.
You playing hardcore?
Yeah, something like that. And it drives me crazy when I'm playing a game and I snipe the guy, perfect snipe, and it doesn't die.
Yeah.
And I have to do it 4 or 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, it was hard enough to hit him the first time, let alone hit him 4 or 5 times.
Right, and I
and
understand
so
that.
then, to me, that character is useless now.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go with some sort of mid-range or short-range character.
Right. And the thing I'm worried about is just the metagame of it all.
Right.
Because in terms of team building, and when you're doing 8-man content or 24-man content, depending on what you're doing, it changes on things now with these new things. With Shadow, like before, it was like, all right, cool. You can have a white mage, you can have a scholar. You can have a white mage, you can have a astro. You can have an astro, you can have a scholar. They were the same for the most part. But in this, it's like white mage is king over all of this right now, because they can provide everything that you need and also dish out the damage necessary to keep everything going. Or like an Astro's like, alright, cool, I can apply like 2% buffs, and then I can try and DPS, and I can try and heal. Good luck, everybody else. You know? Where, like, and the Scholar's like, here's some health. It's not a lot, though. That's what it feels like.
Right.
And this is
here's enough to
this
get
is
you
just
by.
my experience as a tank, because like I played Paladin a little bit, but it wasn't enough. Like I wasn't maining it. And then when I'm playing through Shadowbringers and I'm playing the new tank, I'm running through all these dungeons as a tank. I'm dealing with all these different healers, and I've just noticed. Granted, it's also based off of the player's like competency,
Right.
You know, and whether or not they can do their job, which sometimes it couldn't. It's like in a lot of dungeons, you'll have those asshole tanks that won't ask the healer, hey, can I go get a lot of trash mobs and we can just hit them all at once. They don't ask, they just do it. And
right,
then
so Leroy Jenkins.
Right, then Leroy Jenkins that shit. And then when they die, they blame the healer for not doing their fucking job properly. It's like, no, that's not how that works.
I tend to be the Leroy Jenkins when it comes to games.
Right.
One of my favorite things is like, so I used to play Halo a lot, and I would see a whole group of people in like one room, and everybody's like, all right, what's the strategy? And you get into these people. I would just run and jump in there, and then just start throwing grenades and try to get it. Sometimes I would just get slaughtered.
Yeah.
And then other times I would take about 2 or 3 people out.
Right.
So
and it's like, and sometimes it's fun, sometimes you get berated for it, right?
But I also, in that type of game, it's different because I respawn like right away.
Right.
When it comes to one of those style games,
once you're over.
Yeah, you got to do though, and it's terrible because if again I play tank, you know, I'm maining tank this expansion because I'm enjoying the fact that I'm in the front lines. Let's go, healer, get my back. I'll get as little as I can. But
do you ever play this game in a tank top?
No. Well, once. I just had it on.
You're tanking tank.
But no, it's just again, it's like. it all determines. I try and base myself based off my healer's competency. The DPS don't matter. Except for yesterday, I had a situation where we were in like a level 71 dungeon, and this DPS, who was level 72 by the way, was wearing level like 60 gear. We don't know why she was doing it, but she had like...
She probably liked the outfit.
No. But the outfit affects stats.
Right.
So she's getting... you can glamour over that. If you like an outfit,
right,
you can literally have, I have this new gear. Alright. It's like, alright, here's a sticker.
I know, but...
That's what you look like now.
Right, but she liked that outfit.
No, but that's not how that works.
I know.
When they got brought up...
I understand that... There's just, I'm just gonna say, some people out there, they're just like, I like this outfit, even though, though it's probably like the worst thing in the entire game, but they're like, yeah, I like the jeans and t-shirt look for my guy,
and you can put that on with good gear,
right?
That's the problem.
And
I understand what you're saying. You're just stop.
you can take the cosmetics away from the bad stats and put them onto something with good stats.
So when we're going in here and we're explaining it and we're seeing it, like, because Evie was sitting next to me,
right,
and he noticed it before I did, but somebody in our group noticed it, and we look at it like, all right, tank has like 70,000 health. Okay, that's normal for a tank. You're supposed to be high. Then you have the healer has a certain amount of health. You have the first DPS who has a certain amount of health, and it's all above like 30,000. You go look at this dude. He has 20,000 health. We look at his gear, level 60 gear. You are in a level 71 dungeon. How did you get this far to level up all the way to here and not die? And when we're in that dungeon and we're fighting I can handle the trash mobs. The trash mobs are focused on me because that's how it works. I can get everybody, but when we're going up against a boss and the boss doesn't care who's holding the aggro, and he's like, alright, I see you. Boop. And you explode. That's just there were parts in the fight where I had to use cooldowns that I never really use. Like the paladin has a specific one where you can use cover, so it'll attach to a character and you mitigate some of the damage. That's meant for the healer. Why am I using it on a DPS? Because why? That's not how that works.
Because she looked good.
I don't give a damn. I don't give a good gosh darn. It's stupid. And we explained to the person, like, you can just go here and buy this stuff for practically free. So just go do that.
Yeah, but they're one of the penny pitchers.
I don't give it. Damn.
Money doesn't really seem like it's hard to come by in 14.
If you craft, you are rich. That's how that works. If you craft that game, you're rich, regardless.
So if you're crafty, you can get around.
You can get money.
If you're crafty,
it's true in
you're always down.
The real world too.
Yeah. So, anyways, with that, it changes the meta. Stop talking. It changes the meta game.
She's just my type.
Overall.
She's
so I hate him so much. It changes the meta game.
Beastie Boys.
I hate you. It changes the meta game, gets to a specific part, and now when it comes to end game content, it's going to be weird and different. Things that came out was the Dancer. The Dancer is a new ranged DPS class akin to the Machinist or the Bard.
If you're a male and you're playing the Dancer, are you like a Chippendales dancer?
Ooh.
You can dress up as that if you want.
Can you look like Chris Farley as a...
I mean, you can't just make yourself fat.
Oh. Are you calling Chris Farley fat? That's really mean of you.
Am I wrong?
He's thick.
Yeah, he's big boned.
Anyways, with the Dancer being released, everybody and their moms is playing that DPS class. So, but it's going to be a huge staple because now it kind of took what the Astro did and is doing it for this DPS now. Because it has these dance coordinations where you can choose a partner and you apply that buff to your partner, but you're also applying it to yourself. So, for instance, if we're going into a dungeon and we have a random tank, healer, Dancer, and any of the various DPS classes that you have, most often, if you have a high DPS samurai, a tank, or a samurai or a dragoon, you're going to give it to that, apply the damage buff, and just watch them explode the entire dungeon. So that one's going to be a staple in endgame content. Overall, so I can stop getting angry about this because Dave is finding little ways to interrupt and piss me off.
No, it's not my fault.
It is your fault.
I mean, I just want to know, with the Dancer character, how many times has the Hold Me Closer Tiny Dancer been brought up.
Never.
I feel like it should be.
Well, you
'Cause
take that up with Square Enix.
If I was the dancer, I would go like, hold me closer, tiny dancer.
If you were the dancer?
No, if I was like if I wanted to be, paired with the dancer, then I'd be listening.
What if the dancer's like a 9-foot tall dragon woman?
I'm fine with that.
Well, they wouldn't be tiny.
The song still works.
No, it'd be Hold Me Closer, big
Hold me closer, giant dragon lady.
dancer.
I
can feel myself wanting.
We're in public. Why are you feeling yourself?
Right.
Are we in public?
This is being videoed.
My hands are above the table. Yeah. I'm really trying my best.
Hold me closer, Xavier.
I'm really trying my best to keep my cool.
I can respect that.
I'm about one more interruption away from just being very obscene and not caring. Overall.
So you're saying you're angry?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, then continue with your story.
Mm-hmm. Overall, it's a great expansion. The story is really good. It takes the game in a bit more of a darker direction in terms of what's happening in the story. It brings back a couple of characters that were in the previous expansion stories that had really good dialogue, but it's like you wasn't really expecting to go down that path. It brings back a character who was old but new, kind of like a reincarnation type of deal, where she is just like the most precious things, like I must protect type of deal.
So, how many Xaviers would you give Shadowbringers?
Shadowbringers is a 10 out of 10. Like the story, the quality of life improvements for most of the things, and the endgame content I'm really excited for, because I mean just with where we are at now, the bosses where there are is really good, and it has, I don't know, have you seen the commercial for it at all?
No.
Okay.
I think I was told there might be minor spoilers in the commercial for Stormblood or Heavensward.
A little bit, yeah. So there's there's the group that does the boss music for most of the primals are called the Primals.
Okay.
They created this song where it's kind of just bringing the theme together. It's kind of butt dad rock type of deal, where it's talking about light meeting dark and they're coming together and kind of destroying everything. So
Godsmack?
Essentially. Towards the end of the thing, it starts playing that music, and with your character almost getting completely brutalized, it has this really stance moment of just yeah, no, bro, you fucked up, and then it brings a circle of light around you, and that's what they're using as the explanation of other people coming from other worlds showing up to fight the last boss, and it's really sick. I was sitting here on the couch playing it. I was like, you know when you're watching something and you can feel the hype levels just going ever higher.
Yeah.
I hit the threshold on this, and I was just like, this is so hype.
See, it's great. It's great when they can hype something up and then they have music to follow with it.
Yeah.
It always drives me crazy, when I'm watching a movie and then it gets to the really intense part, and then they play some really soft music in the background, and you're just like...
You almost want no music.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like there's sometimes I'm just like, you can just scrap the music on this, because what you're doing here is just ruining the scene for me.
Because I was playing it, you're getting all this exposition dump, and then something crazy happens, and all of a sudden it's explosion, and then all you hear is the and you're like, oh, it's happening, this is the theme song, this is the thing that happens, and the character stands up, it's alright, bro, you lose. You start fighting him.
So it's almost like in an Endgame when all the portals show up.
Yeah,
and then the main theme hits.
Exactly what it was. It's that's the moment where
Chadwick.
Cap says Avengers Assemble, and then shit starts going down.
Right. Yeah.
It was oh.
That's max hype there.
Yeah, it was really good, and it works better because the person that wrote this storyline specifically for this entire expansion is the same person that wrote the Dark Knight storyline. Haha, funny, for in Heavensward. So, and it's it works toe and toe. I mean, It's really good. The game overall is really good, and content's good. The community is generally really nice. You do have a couple of those assholes that decide I'm going to go into this level 80 dungeon with a frog head and no pants, just cause.
Always got to be one.
Yeah, always got to be one. But overall, it's a really good game. If you like MMOs, I'm not dissuading anybody from leaving their MMO because if you're a part of WoW or Terra Online or Black Desert or stuff like that, do your thing. But I would at least say try it out if you like MMOs.
Call of Acheron.
Call of Acheron.
No, I butchered the name, but I'm just gonna dip out of here before I embarrass myself further. Yeah. So games with me, I don't have nearly as much to say as Xavier.
He does have a lot to say.
I've been playing it for 3 weeks straight.
He gets very focused.
I had all 4th of July weekend to play that, and that's all I did. That was my job.
So, I've been playing Days Gone for what feels like 6 years. There's a very distinct moment, and I won't spoil it, or spoil the story, the context of the story for it, but there's a point where it feels like you've beaten the game, and then they're like, hey, guess what? We're going to put you onto another map. Kind of like in, and this is going to be a spoiler, but it's a spoiler for an old game, Far Cry 3.
Mm.
How you beat Voss, and you're like, this is the end of the game, and then they're like, nope, new island, new unimportant
bad guy,
new island, new bad guy, no time to get invested.
Mm.
That's what they did with Days Gone, because there was a bad guy in the first section where you're just like, man, I wanna do bad things to this man's, and then you go to this next year and you're like, okay, there's really no concrete villains. It does tie into a certain part of the first story, but it basically has you doing fetch quests for about 4 hours.
Right.
And it just now where I'm at now, it's now just starting to ramp up again.
Mm.
But that lull almost made me stop playing because it was just so boring and
I find that type of stuff is so frustrating. Or when you're, because I watch more movies than play games, but I'm watching a movie and you're like, it should just end right here. Mm-hmm. And then they go on to the next act and you're just like, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
You could have ended it right there and I would have been happy. And then you add this extra thing and now I'm just like, well, it was an okay.
It's like in a movie where the protagonist or the antagonist has been the antagonist for most of the movie.
Right.
And then you have Don Juan Jefe Jobber up here, the boss.
Right.
And it's like, I was controlling the strings this entire time. It's like, who are you? Why are you here?
Right.
And that's the problem Far Cry 3, right? Because the way that they structured Far Cry 3, I've never played it. I'm not a big fan of the Far Cry games. But I know that Voss is the pinnacle that they've hit.
Yeah.
And no other antagonist in any other game since then has been up there. And they've tried. With, what was it? New Dawn or whatever? The Far Cry 5? With the...
with Joseph Seed.
Yeah. Where, that's a very interesting concept. We have this cult of God, and I'm the shepherd that leads them to the everlasting life. We must protect ourselves from this, and then Nuke drops, and then they try and continue it with a sequel where shit's already hit the fan, but we're not the same character because there was no good endings in that game,
Well, I mean, the character from New Dawn survives.
Right, but from Far Cry 5?
Yeah.
I thought no matter which ending, it doesn't matter.
He gets taken into a bunker with Joseph Seed because Seed's in the next game.
Right. I know that.
So the assumption is that if Seed's there, player character might also still be alive. I haven't played the new game, so I don't know if you encounter him or if he plays him or not.
I haven't seen anything, but I know that from the endings that I saw, it was either you fell prey to Seed's influence, or you got smacked up by the nuclear explosion. But it was it wasn't.
Yeah, but all you had to do is get into a refrigerator, and then you'd be fine.
Indiana Jones this. Don't talk about that one.
That's the best Indiana Jones of all the movies.
So, you think that's why Nate is as powerful as he is he's got the crystal skull?
That wouldn't surprise me.
How did you jump on that bandwagon so quick?
What?
The Nate is God bandwagon?
I Yes.
Well, he's the one that brought it up in the first place.
Yeah, but like it's like you guys you're like the worshiper and you're the devil.
What? Yeah.
The worshiper of what?
Nate.
Right. So he's all powerful.
So Nate's God, he's the devil?
Yeah.
Essentially.
And what am I, Job?
No, you're Caleb.
Are you guys gonna mess with me until I pick a side? I've already picked Nate. I'm sorry, Nate.
No, see,
that's fine.
I don't pick a side because
I really don't want you to pick my side. I prefer if you were against me.
It gives him reason to make fun of you.
No, it doesn't.
So what you're telling me is that Nate is the law route, Dave's chaos route, and you're neutral.
Essentially.
Yeah.
I don't like this.
But the thing is that he tries to make me neutrally evil.
Which it works sometimes.
Because he's chaotic evil.
What are you talking about?
And Nate's like lawfully good, that's slowly shifting on the spectrum as if you watch from the beginning when he started coming into the podcast until like last week where he tells Dave to shut up. He's like slowly going down the line of the spectrum.
Is that chaotic good or lawful neutral?
It's becoming chaotic good.
Okay.
But when he's not here for like a week or two, I think it resets.
Oh, it does. It does reset him, and then he has to
come back here and then deal with his bullshit.
I'm gonna suplex you one day. F5 you right on this table.
Man, that would be great. That would be good video.
Alright, so
that's content. You just splice that part out.
You had?
Oh yeah, I've just been focusing on Days Gone. I finally beat my Mountain Blade campaign for Warband. Really not much to say there. It just, if you ever feel like playing a game for 100 hours and getting nowhere, and then all of a sudden it's over, play Mountain Blade Warband. It's really fun.
Wow, you really hyped that one really good.
Yeah, well the sequel is supposed to be coming out.
So if you want to play a game where nothing happens and you do it for a long period of time but you kill a lot of things, play that game.
Well, stuff happens. It's basically like the whole game is a sandbox. There is no story. You make your own story. And it's basically you are an immigrant into this country and it follows your rise to become the leader. Or you don't have to be the leader. You can do whatever you want. You can lead a mercenary group. You can be a bandit. You could be a vassal to a king. You could try to be the king yourself.
Huh.
You could be a peasant and just get screwed over the whole game and then retire. You could start the game and then immediately retire. That's the fastest speedrun of that game I've ever seen. It was like it was anywhere from like 4 to 6 seconds long. It was funny. But yeah, Days Gone. Really long. Had an okay beginning. Had a really good climax. And then right now I'm on the descending action. And it feels like it might start rising again. Going towards the second climax. But in my amateur opinion, I don't think games should have 2 climaxes, at least not within the same story.
So, that's how I feel because speaking of that, I think I told you with Assassin's Creed Odyssey, my entire thought process of that game was you have to kill the cult of Cosmos because they seem like they are the main antagonists of that game, right? So I was thinking to get the true ending, you have to kill all the antagonists. Mm-hmm. The game ends before that.
Yes.
And so...
Or it can end before that.
It can end before that. So what I was doing is like, all right, cool. I'm gonna do all these missions, and then I'll go kill the cult of Cosmos. So when I did that and I beat the game ends because the main story has to do with the family between your mother, your father, adoptive brother, and
with your adoptive father too.
Yeah, adoptive father.
Or stepfather.
Yeah, stepfather, stepbrother. And your actual brother, your actual sibling who's been turned by the cult.
He's presented as like not the main antagonist, but like the second.
Right. I think we've talked about it before, where there's certain points in the game where you can turn him back to your side, or you have to battle him to the death.
Yeah, depending on dialogue options and stuff like that. But see, I didn't realize that was the ending of the game.
Right.
So when I got there and that happened and it was over, I'm like, all right, cool. That solves that storyline. I can now go over here and I do this and I'm waiting for credits and nothing happens. I'm just like, where am I? What year is it? And I go look on my phone. It's like, yeah, the ending is with the family storyline. I'm like, phone. It's like,
yeah, the ending
it
of
confused me. There was no clear option.
the cultist ending was really like anticlimactic.
Well,
It's basically just like, hey, you find out the leader of the cultist is a side character that you met along the way who, if you were paying attention, you totally would have seen coming.
Right.
yeah.
And she's just like, yeah. So I lost control of the cult, and that's why they were doing bad stuff. I'm good. The
Right.
cult was meant for good things.
Yeah.
But these guys ran
All-
rampant, and they
right.
were,
All
became-
cults are meant for good things.
and they all of them, and it's like, oh, they only became obsessed with like their
Power.
with power, their worldly
it was like
desires.
the Templars before the Templars.
And the intention was to to preserve knowledge or something
Yeah,
like that.
which, by the way, after you collect all the shards of the piece of Eden or whatever it is, you look into it, you see the future. But then it's like, all right, cool. So you're showing me this, doesn't make sense. But then later on, if you do a different storyline, you find out that your character lives 1,000+ years, anyways.
Yeah.
You know.
So you think when she was looking into the future, she was actually seeing what she was already going to be observing? Like,
It's possible.
Like, do you think the next game will it'll take place the rumor is it's going to be in Scandinavia and it's going to be all Norse themed. You think Cassandra will show up in
that would be a good plot point.
800 years
But
after
that's the
Greece?
thing. Like, oh well, no, I guess they did say that Cassandra was the actual protagonist.
Yeah, if you read the book
Mhm.
for the story, it's
Oh, there's a
Cassandra.
book?
There's a book and it tells you all the canon options.
Oh.
Um,
Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's the thing that bothered me. Because in Legacy of the First Blade too, it's like
that man, boy, what a twist!
Right.
I love it though.
yeah. So Legacy of
Strong
the
woman
Fir-
begets strong woman.
Yeah, Legacy of the First Blade was a DLC story that told about one of the characters that ends up showing up in Assassin's Creed Origins.
Okay.
Which
Right.
takes place, 400 years later, something like that?
Yeah. So as you're going through all this, you're finding out the person who killed Artaxerxes, or no, that was the dude. That was Darius' real name, right? Artaxerxes.
No, Artaxerxes was Darius's son.
Oh.
He's the dude you meet in
Oh,
one of the side quests.
Darius was the dude who killed Xerxes.
Oh, yeah. Darius killed Xerxes, and then Artaxerxes
Yeah.
was Xerxes' son.
Yeah. So as you go throughout, you end up creating
With
a
grandson.
family with this. It feels like Legacy of the First Blade should have been the ending to the storyline for
Absolutely.
Cassandra or Alexios in Odyssey. And then right at the last episode, they throw you a huge curveball by killing your spouse and kidnapping your child.
Yeah.
Which then in turn causes a rift between your character and the grandfather,
Who is Darius,
who's Darius.
who happens to show up in the form of a statue in Assassin's Creed 2.
Was he in the underground?
Yes.
Oh.
And so is Ida,
Yeah,
but known as Amunet.
yeah. So then as you finish the last bit of Legacy of the First Blade, you realize that it's all right, cool. I can't keep my child because the people that are hunting him from that side of this random new cult are going to be hunting me down and my family.
It's not a random new cult.
It's not?
It's the Order of the Ancients. It's the same villains from Origins.
So where does the movie?
And then those
fit
guys.
in?
So
The movie's canon.
No, yeah.
Right.
This is. Ooh, oh god, oh you've uncorked me.
Yeah.
So the movie is canon. In terms of the present day storyline, it takes place between between Unity and between Syndicate and Origins.
Really?
Yes, because in Origins, in some of the files, they mention Sophia Ricken, who is the French chick in the movie.
Oh.
But here's what gets me heated about the movie.
Yeah.
So the Templars are known in the modern day as Abstergo Industries and whatnot, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So their leader is this man named Alan Rickon. He's played by
I'll research it.
Michael Fassbender.
no.
Michael Fassbender's just
Michael Fassbender is some rando assassin.
Okay.
He's played by Scar from Lion King.
Alan Richter.
No.
The new Lion King.
No. He's Alfred in the new DCs.
Michael Caine?
No. After. It's like Jeremy something.
Jeremy.
Not Renner.
Hold on, I'm looking it up.
This makes
Okay, anyways, you look it up and you'll get back to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's played by that guy, and
Jeremy Irons.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's who it is.
that guy.
There was nothing at the box, only more cardboard.
I like Jeremy Irons.
So yeah, they mention him. He's never shown at all in the games. They mention him as the big bad. Like he is the head of the Templars,
Okay.
and he dies in the movie. And here's
That's right. He died in the last act, right? During the
Yes,
ceremony when
so-
they present the apple.
So there's a big ceremony when they present the Apple of Eden, and
Man,
he.
see, that whole movie is like a blur to me because it was so bad.
You're right.
Now-
I don't remember a lot of it. I think a lot of it I really was not paying attention to because I'd be like watching it, but then it was so weirdly done that I'd kind of space out.
So,
Even the way they
so what got me angry was the way they kill him. First off, it is an insult to the people who played the game that they don't get to experience
killing the asshole.
killing the main bad guy.
Right.
So what happens is he's giving this big presentation to the Templars,
Right.
with the Apple of Eden, and Michael Fassbender straight just walks up behind him and stabs him, and then everyone in the room, including the assassin hunters, are like ah, and they run away. And they run away. They're like, "Oh no, an assassin!" This guy hasn't even been inducted into the assassins. He's just some dude.
He's some dude who learned his abilities through the bleeding effect of a really shitty looking animus, by the way.
With the big arm.
That's not how the animus is.
No,
ever.
they reference it in Origins.
It's stupid.
No, that's what she says. She's
fucking dumb.
or it's Layla was part of the team that made. The
No,
arm.
she wasn't.
Yes, she was.
Dude.
Because Layla was a member of Abstergo in Origins, and then she gets turned by
Dude, that movie fucked so much shit up.
by William at the end. Yeah, but you killed the main bad guy. I don't know what happens to Michael Fassbender. He just leaves.
Yeah.
No,
he just got.
And I'm just flabbergasted the whole time.
They
The part when-
Desmond Miles him. They just make him a dude because the way that the Assassin Order works is
I feel like this should have the movie should have been like one of those things where an assassin wakes up from a dream and is like, "Wow, that was kind of weird," and then they just kind of go on
what
with
the animus
series.
is. That's literally what Assassin's Creed.
I know that's
everything is.
I think it would be better if a character that was out of the animus has that dream and it's like, wow, that would have been a weird thing.
Well,
glad that didn't happen.
Because the Assassin Order works like this. Every Assassin Order is passed down from generation to generation, whether or not they know their actual bloodline. When it comes to Desmond Miles specifically, he decided that he did not want to join the Assassin Order, so he ran away and became a bartender in the asshole thing of New York.
Right.
Then he got picked up by Abstergo, which, by the way, in the first game, it looks like Desmond doesn't even know what he's a part of. For most of it.
Even though later on it's found out that he was raised in an assassin compound.
Right, an assassin compound all the way out in buttfuck nowhere.
And he ran away when he was 16?
Yeah.
Definitely old enough to know
That's
where
2.
you're from.
I'm already off the scale.
You've got 10 right now.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so when they're having this going on and everything, it's like Desmond then fully comes into his own, and then they get him to Assassin's Creed 3 where it's like, alright, cool, bro. You can either give up your life or become the new Jesus Messiah.
But it's but people will twist your words and history will repeat
essentially,
itself,
yeah.
and they'll use the religion that you've created to oppress the other people.
I don't see the downsides.
Because you would. But then he's just I don't want that, and he dies.
Right.
But he protects the Earth. But does he really? No, he doesn't, because in saving the Earth from the solar flare, he unleashes Juno,
Which is one of the gods.
who is this big, basically a MacGuffin.
Which was also a great movie.
It was a good movie.
Go see Juno.
But yeah, they unleash her, and she's supposed to be the big bad now. But what has she done?
She did that one thing in the DLC to Syndicate where she talked to
she's
Evie's daughter.
She's a big head.
Yeah, talk shit while she's doing the.
I wanted more of that, by the way.
Yeah, it was
World War
actually
II?
yeah,
Yeah.
World War II style stuff, and you're playing a British assassin,
So-
relaying things to what, Churchill?
Yeah, Churchill's your mission giver.
Yeah,
Smoking a fatty and eating a bowl of strawberries.
yeah. But it's like that's the only time you ever see her. The only other thing is you get plot lines in the background that Abstergo has this super reincarnation prophet who is, I think, the reincarnation of the husband of Juno.
Yes.
Being passed down through multiple people and stuff like that. Who's working
always
with
through the bloodline of like the sages.
Yeah, the bloodline of the sages. Who's working with Abstergo, and then they're going to do a thing.
I don't see what the problem is.
And then it's always like those really interesting like points in time. They always like play with them and then never really give it to us. Like in the movie, when they actually go into the past, it takes place during the Spanish Inquisition.
Right.
I want a whole game about that. That's yes.
No.
For me, that's like one of the perfect settings. It would be that and like
Japan?
No, Japan's stupid.
No, it's not.
Get out of here, you smelly weeb.
Whatever, you wrestling freak.
I'll suplex you into the Punji spikes. I don't care. Summer of Love 1969 was rumored to be another like bit. So you're dealing with Cold War spy stuff. I think that would be really interesting. And then also like World War II.
Didn't they have that with that one Russian assassin?
That was World War One.
Okay.
2 would be really cool. I have not played any of the games. I've seen a little bit of the games. I find the story very intriguing, but I'm at a point now that it's way too long for me to get
pretty
into
much
it.
Anything after 3 becomes very convoluted and becomes less about the real world story and more about the assassin story.
Which I kind of more care about the real world story.
Right, and that's what it was for a lot of people.
Yeah.
We cared about what Desmond Miles was doing, how Desmond Miles was going to save the world.
It was like a build up to the eventual like one day we will get a modern day Assassin's Creed where they never step into the Animus.
They kind of did that in 3, where there were certain missions where Desmond would break into Abstergo, and you would be doing that. But again, it's like...
So do you think they'll ever go back to the other thing?
I mean, they're building up Layla.
See,
I haven't finished.
She's gonna die too.
It wouldn't surprise me.
I mean...
It wouldn't surprise me once they burnt the entire candle down to the very bottom that they tried to flip it over and try to burn the other end.
6 times. They keep finding different colored waxes and throwing it on top of it.
Right.
Because like again, alright,
First
game.
People keep
playing
it.
You're right. With the first game, we're dealing with Altair. Altair Ibn Lahad. You know, we're dealing with this dude.
In many ways, it turns into a John Madden game.
Essentially, because like the first one we're dealing with the Masyaf Brotherhood, right? Mm-hmm. And we're dealing with that in back in the day. Then we go into 2 and we get Ezio Auditore de Firenze, and it's great because Ezio is awesome. He's played by Chris Redfield. He has a great voice, right? And then it's like, all right, cool. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, one of the greatest Assassin's Creed games of all time.
Absolutely,
super dope. Story's amazing. Still got Ezio, charming boy.
Really cool multiplayer.
Exactly. Then we got Assassin's Creed Revelations, still with Ezio. It's like, bro, you're old. I need you to stop.
With Revelations, like I didn't know the game like was going to end.
Right.
Like the last mission is a carriage chase.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, because me and my brother would play like the story missions off and on.
Mm-hmm.
And he was playing that carriage chase mission, and I was like, you can play whatever missions you want, just let me get the final one. Because with the other games, you can sort of tell when the final mission is going to happen. I think even in 2, it tells you it's going to be a minute before you get to go back to the open world. So just eat your Wheaties and get ready.
In 2, where he goes to Rome and fights the Pope. Yeah.
That doesn't happen in Revelations because you have this carriage chase where you're chasing the big bad of that game, and he just like falls off a cliff basically.
Yeah. And
it's just like, oh, that's it. That's the end.
Okay.
Yeah. But then, like, again, we get that, and then we go into Connor,
what'll you have me do, Kenway?
Yeah. Connor, what'll you have me do, Kenway? Also, I have an attitude, which is justified, but people still don't like his character.
He's cool.
Yeah. So then it's like, and that one's fought during the Civil War, right?
During the American Revolution.
The American Revolution.
Civil War would also be a really good time era.
Yeah. So during the American Revolution, so you're high-fiving Washington and throwing downs with the Brits. That's a really interesting storyline. I liked it. But then got to look at the second half where it comes to Desmond Miles. Desmond Miles gets captured by the Abstergo Industries and is probed to figure out where the piece of the apple of Eden is.
I want a caveman game. What are you doing against dinosaurs?
They hint at it. There is like a first civilization game where you play as like Adam.
Is the Isu?
Yeah, I think that would be really cool to play during the uprising against the Isu.
Right
and then
before
the game
apocalypse happens.
Yeah, then the game ends with the solar flare.
That'd be dope. And then in 2, in Assassin's Creed 2, you have Desmond leaving Abstergo with
Kristen Bell.
And you go along the lines of like finding a new location, and you learn about Ezio, and you start learning through the bleeding effect and stuff like that. Assassin's Creed 2 is that they go to Rome, and they end up finding the Apple of Eden, but then is tricked by the Isu that Desmond ends up stabbing Kristen Bell because I think at that point
She was a traitor.
She was a sleeper agent still working for Abstergo trying to get the Apple of Eden.
Heartbreaking.
But at the same time, your character as Desmond Miles goes into a deep sleep and a coma, and the entirety of Revelations is Desmond inside of the Animus dealing with a different person who was hinted at and ever since the first game, in terms of was it Subject 16 or something like
his
that?
name was like Clay Kasmer.
Yeah,
he's actually an interesting
right.
character
So
to
then
me.
you're dealing with that as you're progressing through the game. Your entire thing is trying to wake up from the bleeding effect, and you're in this weird artificial world inside the Animus. And then in 3, it's like, all right, cool, we're in Boston. We're gonna stop the apocalypse, and then Desmond dies.
I mean, he stops the apocalypse,
Right.
but
And then you start Assassin's Creed 4, which is a good re-entry into the series, but now you're not a discernible character that matters anymore.
you are you. Dave.
You are a jobber that works at Abstergo Industries, working for Abstergo to find through their video games pieces of Eden that they can use to take over the world.
Yeah. So I guess all like the game that you've been playing, aside from the modern day bits, those are games inside the game universe.
Yeah, and you're just a tester. By the way, then they bring two side characters that were in the first 3 Assassin's Creed games.
Can I stop you?
No.
We are going really long on this. I don't mind it. It's very good. Having a good time. Do we want to bring up Spider-Man before we close this?
Yeah.
Also, I know. It's totally fine because it is. It's a very shallow game, and there's nothing going on in it, so it's pretty easy to talk about it.
Rogue is one of the best games ever. Fight me.
Rogue? Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, and then
Viking armor.
Also, my other thought is, should we do a whole episode where we talk about Madden football?
No, because
without Nate here.
You'd be on your own there, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely be on your own.
Anyways, okay, let's wrap it up with Spider-Man.
Spoiler free.
Web it up with Spider-Man.
Web it up. Just got web on your face.
All right, spoiler free because I haven't seen it.
This entire movie is doing the question that people were asking. I don't know if you noticed. Who's going to be the next Iron Man? That is like the number one question the movie like throws at your face.
I know, but why does there have to be another Iron Man?
Because they feel like they need it, and it not necessarily has to do with there actually being another Iron Man. What they're doing is I feel like they're ushering Peter into being that role.
Right.
Just being the new leader.
Trying to be in that same vein, and especially tying it with the way Tony interacted with Peter throughout that entire little last half of that arc. You know.
Did you? Before we go into this, an important information is that this was supposed to be the last Spider-Man movie, and then it goes back to Sony.
That's a terrible idea.
Marvel but there was a stipulation in the contract that said if the movie made a certain amount of money, Marvel gets to keep hold of it. Marvel made that.
Good.
So Marvel gets to keep control over it, though you'll never see a Venom Spider-Man show. But at the same time, the Venom movie was kind of meh.
Yeah,
it was objectively bad, but it was enjoyable.
I felt like it was a bad movie, but I enjoyed it. But I think it's more because of the main character. What's his name?
Tom Hardy.
Yeah, Tom Hardy.
Bane.
Other than that, the movie could have been blah. But Spider-Man.
So yeah, no, that's good. I still haven't seen Homecoming, so my previous experience of Tom Holland's Spider-Man was bits of Civil War and Infinity War and Endgame. So it's like, I'm like, all right, I think he can be good. And watching Far From Home, it was like, yeah, no, he's a good Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And good Peter Parker, he played the role good, smart ass, all that stuff. It's good, it works. There wasn't really anything that I disliked about the movie, except for it seemed like, and I guess it depends on the people that don't read comic books in terms of the antagonist, because when you're watching the trailers, you don't see a proper antagonist for the movie, I don't think.
It's
intentional.
It's done intentional, because when you're watching the movie, the antagonist is kind of along the lines of they're just random. It's kind of like the other movie we were talking about, the X-Men movie, where they're just characters that just show up.
Right.
And so it doesn't...
But when they show Mysterio specifically, it's like, look at what he's wearing. Does that look like a good guy outfit to you? His name is Mysterio.
He didn't call himself that. Everybody else calls him that.
And I get that. That's fine. That's like a plot point in the movie.
Yeah, he calls himself Ray. I haven't seen the movie.
No, but it was just
Ray
watching
Mysterio? I got it. That's hilarious.
But yeah, but when you're watching, it's like, as we were watching the movie, my roommate like leaned over to me. He's like, I thought Mysterio was a bad guy, and I literally said, wait for it.
Right.
No less than 5 minutes later, the heel turn happens. I was like, I knew it.
Yeah, no, I knew it going into this.
Right.
But I still was just like, when is
Spoilers.
it gonna when is it gonna happen? And if you just know anything about that character, you know that he's a bad guy.
Yeah.
And he's always is like Spider-Man's enemy.
Well, yeah, because the entire thing about Mysterio is that he's a magician.
Right.
Or he just plays tricks on people. That's all it was. What I did enjoy is that they brought a lot of pulls from a lot of the Iron Man movies specifically.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they brought a lot of pulls, and it's all people that you. I'm like, huh? I remember that dude because they were a jobber. And it's like, all right, no, this is their reasoning for being here. I was like, all right, cool, that's justified.
Right.
But they're being led by a Hitler style dude who's all about himself for the most part.
No, I felt like it was a really good movie. It's very slow and kind of blah at the beginning, but I knew that it was going to ramp up.
Right.
And then once it ramps up, then you're like, this movie's awesome.
Right. Because like a good chunk of this movie is like, how is Peter dealing with everything after Tony's death?
Right. And Tony is supposed to be taking place of the Uncle Ben character.
Right.
So he's the...
Well, even that, he's like a father figure.
Right.
And then having to deal with all that, dealing with Aunt May and stuff like that. Because I didn't know that at the end of Homecoming, I'm assuming Aunt May figures out that he's Spider-Man. I didn't know that. So when you're watching certain scenes and stuff, and they're like talking, it's like, oh cool, I packed your suit. It's like, what? Right. So stuff like that, and it's super, and it's good. It's a good movie. Like I had fun with it. The little bits in the beginning, it's like, all right, cool. We're watching Peter be Peter. All he wants to do is hang out with Mary Jane, and
Do they say her name is Mary Jane?
Yeah, they say Mary Jane.
Or do they just say MJ?
They say MJ a lot because it's easier to say, but they do say Mary Jane. What threw me for a loop for the most part, and this is not me being racist, it's just due to what I know about the Spider-Man comics. Zendaya, I don't have a problem with her. Mm-hmm. She plays a good character, but it's a weird alternate version of Mary Jane.
Yeah.
And you would have had to see Homecoming.
Right. But I'm used to my spunky ass redhead.
I really didn't ever... I kind of always... The Mary Jane character was always kind of a boring character to me.
The more like Gwen Stacy made myself.
Yeah, the...
Black Cat, maybe.
Felicia Hardy's hot.
Oh.
Yeah, that's fine.
Bryce Dallas Howard going to play her in Amazing Spider-Man?
Maybe.
But it is... Yeah, it's hot, but at the same time, it was like...
It's the chick who played Jyn Erso in Rogue One.
I never watched Rogue One.
Oh. Well, she was Felicia Hardy in Amazing Spider-Man, but it's before she does the Black Cat turn.
Okay.
Yeah. So
sorry.
It's a good movie. I really enjoyed it. When it ramps up really well. Mm-hmm. I love the twist and the turns in the movie.
That end though.
You have to stay for the end.
Yeah.
End part. Okay. It's probably almost one of the most important parts of the entire film. And
it's going to shape how the next movie's going to be.
Okay.
what also the very, very end one kind of shapes how the rest of the movies are going.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, I forgot about that last scene until something got brought up.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, scores?
It's a 8.5.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't want to give it quite the 9 because again, it's like this is my first full exposure to Tom Holland.
Yeah, you've never been exposed by him before?
To him.
Oh, to him before?
What would how many days would you give it?
I'm gonna give it a high 9.
Ding.
Ding. Bling. Because I enjoyed it, and it was one of the better of the Marvel films, even though, I mean, a lot of them are really good, but I just enjoyed the twists and turns of this one, and they put a lot of thought into there's a lot of thought in this movie, even though there is a lot of the Marvel cheesiness to things, and there's always I do like the fact that at the very beginning you're fighting these nameless characters, and you're like, why are we fighting this? It's almost like it's almost along the line of how bad the Suicide Squad when they were just fighting those random putty characters.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I knew it was going to get good. That's why I was like, I'm fine with this at this point because I know it's going to get good.
My big question is, how do they think Spider-Man's going to fight those style of antagonists?
Webs.
It wouldn't work.
Electric webs.
Yeah, you just got
Also wouldn't work.
Fire webs.
Wouldn't work.
water webs.
Barely. Maybe.
Fire.
It'd be like pissing on a forest fire.
That's fine.
It wouldn't work.
You don't know?
I do.
Have you done it?
No, but
So
it
there,
work.
you don't know. You just don't.
How are we on time?
We should probably end it.
Okay, if I can wrap up one more thing about Spider-Man. I haven't seen Far From Home, but I saw Spider-Verse.
You finally saw Spider-Verse?
Spider-Verse is dope.
All I'm going to say about
You
Spider-Verse...
say Kingman, I'm going to hit you.
No, that was so funny, though. That man is a wall. No, it's just spoilers. At the very end of the movie, when Miguel O'Hara shows up, I get hard.
He's in Spider-Verse?
He's the post-credit scene.
What? I'm going to say this.
I'm going to have to rewatch that movie.
You can spoil anything on that movie. It's been out. It's on DVD.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's like they do a whole, hey, someone's messing with the time stream thing, and it just like, you just hear someone go like, Miguel, what's going on? And
I do remember
And then it like zooms out, and it's, Miguel in the 2099 suit, but it's him going through like a bunch of different like Spider-Man areas. And, like he's the one who goes into the meme where it's like, hey, you're Spider-Man? No, I'm Spider-Man. Hey, why are you pointing at me? I'm over here pointing at you.
Oh. A good movie.
But yeah, Miguel O'Hara gets me hard.
You know what's...
Is that the Spider-Man 2099?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had that original comic book when it came out.
I used to have it. I had the number 1, and then it got lost in a move.
So you played the Spider-Man game. Oh, this will be real quick. The PS4? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in every universe where Miles Morales shows up, the original Spider-Man, I'm assuming this is like that blink in the time stream, the original Spider-Man has to die.
At some point, probably.
Right.
Yeah,
I want that next game to be straight up
just Miles Morales.
just Miles Morales.
I wanted to do, and I know I already said I don't like having 2 climaxes in games, but I'm going to be a hypocrite.
Okay.
I do think that the next game should be Act 1 Peter Parker, Act 2 Miles Morales.
That'd be good.
And then
Different powers.
Then if there's a third game, it's just Miles Morales.
Spider-Gwen. I want a Spider-Gwen game.
Yeah.
Love Spider-Gwen. Alright, that's we're done. Thanks for watching our Assassin's Spider Creed podcast, man.
Xavier, Thanos, snap us. Ah!
Bye!
Thank you for listening to the Nailed It Podcast. If you like it, please subscribe to all our social media. Our Facebook is at the Nailed It Podcast. Our Twitter is the Nailed It Pod. Also look for us on Patreon. Thank you for listening.